one of the things that happened is I discovered my femininity and my affinity towards women very, very late in life. You know how we are brought up. Men are the paradigm कि तुम आदमियों की तरह बात कर सकती हो, उनकी तरह कंपनी चला सकती हो, उनकी तरह खुद को चला सकती हो. तो एक टाइम तक ना आप उसको बढ़ावा देते हुए बढ़ते हो. आपको बड़ा अच्छा लगता है जब कोई बोलता है ये लड़की दुनिया आदमियों की तरह कॉन्कर कर रही है. All of us can't become the sun, but all of us can become lamp. And a lamp is more powerful than the sun because the sun can only illuminate a certain part of the world, right? Which it has access to one half of the world at points of time. But a lamp or a diya or an earthen lamp when it's lit, its only promise is कि वो अपने आसपास अंधेरा नहीं होने देगा.
I try to make a life of humility and love, and all the reason is that it's many a times it hurts me also because people many a times take you for granted, and trust me, the kind of humankind is that if they do not are fearful about you, it's very easy for people to take you for granted.
I know for a fact that if you come out and you challenge Kundan, he will challenge himself even more.
Right.
To say, how can I build a space where everyone can still be welcome?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is your host Unbinary Kundan, and I'm proud to announce to all of you that after successful completion of Season 1 and Season 2 of UnbinaryLife, we are moving on to Season 3. Season 1 was all about the life philosophies, which where I was explaining life, and Season 2 was about the different one. Now, there was so much love that we got on the second season, which was about the different one. We have decided to make a twist. Why? Because my personal life, I have been inspired so much by the women all around me that made me think about invest some time and some energy and bring more and more stories around the women leadership and the women who are doing great. So that's why, guys, the third season is going to be called The Different Her. Yes. And for today, there is no one I could imagine to bring on to this episode is none other than Saumya. Saumya, most welcome.
Thank you so much.
To give you a brief gist about Saumya is that she's much, much more than a dear friend to us. The journey of Dramantram has so much to do with Saumya. We connected as a friend, we connected as an acquaintance, but it went on evolving. She has been stood there, she has worked as our client, she has worked as our friend, she has worked as our partner, she has worked in all the different levels, and the best thing was, as the person, as the leader, she loves to be known as a bold person, and she has lived every bit of it. And that's why Saumya was all the way, and I want to bring that story to you, that why she's so special. For us, she's the celebrity. I think if you'll go and look for Saumya, in Delhi at least, she is a celebrity. We love to have Saumya here. So Saumya, most welcome to the episode.
Again, very, very, very thankful to be here, Kundan. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Dramantram is like home. Kundan is like a dearer than life friend. And there's nothing I wouldn't do for Kundan and his cohort in life. It's a promise made on green.
Yeah, it's on record. So yes, guys, thank you so much. So Saumya, we'll quickly jump onto our conversation. Okay, we'll keep it candid. We'll have the fun conversation, but at the same time, we'll challenge the world.
Sure.
All right?
Up for it.
You're up for it? Okay. So there is one thing in my journey that I have learned. I love creating leaders. And the thing that what I have learned is that the childhood, you know, the inner child has so much to do in today's, like, I always talk about functional adult, how exactly an adult should be. And most of the time, all of us are just playing the roles and responsibilities given as an adult, but hardly I see functional adult who are enjoying to be an adult, right? How was your childhood? Like, what was there anything different? Was there anything which, do you think like any incident which contributed to you to be what you are today?
Sure. I really believe, Kundan, all of us are a product of everything that we've gone through till this moment, right?
Right.
So, and I absolutely agree, you know, at least modern psychological science will tell us that a lot of our personality gets shaped even before we are fully aware of it. So childhood does play a very critical role. And whatever I am today, you know, sometimes people also try to investigate कि इसके साथ कुछ बुरा हुआ क्या जिसकी वजह से ये ऐसी निकली. Not really. Like when I look back on my childhood, it was like a very normal, loving home that I was a part of. The only thing perhaps different was that I was the first girl child in the family, both on my maternal and my paternal side.
Okay.
On both sides, right? So मुझे majorly जो companionship, जो peer companionship मिली, वो आदमियों की मिली. चाहे वो मेरे cousins हो, my chacha was a big influence. Aside from my parents, of course, my mother and father had the biggest role to play. But I was brought up amongst males. So half my life, I grew up thinking that I'm a very tomboyish person,
Okay.
right? So I would make friends only with guys. I would hover around only guys. So one of the things that happened is I discovered my femininity and my affinity towards women very, very late in life. You know how we are brought up. Men are the paradigm. कि तुम आदमियों की तरह बात कर सकती हो, उनकी तरह कंपनी चला सकती हो, उनकी तरह खुद को चला सकती हो. तो एक टाइम तक ना आप उसको बढ़ावा देते हुए बढ़ते हो. आपको बड़ा अच्छा लगता है जब कोई बोलता है ये लड़की दुनिया आदमियों की तरह कॉन्कर कर रही है. तो जब आप बहुत बड़े होते हो तो आपको लगता है कि ये तो कोई बात ही नहीं हुई. मैं तो वैसे ही कॉन्कर कर रही हूँ जैसे मुझे कॉन्कर करना आता है. So one of the things that definitely happened in my childhood, because I was the first girl child on both the sides, I had a lot of male influence on me. That is number one that I can remember from my childhood. So the consequence of that being that it took me a lot of time to embrace my femininity, my feminineness. Aside from that, when I look back, I think a very, very important influence. When we are in our teenage ages, we are all rebels. So we actually acknowledge the role played by our family, immediate family, in our upbringing. But I have a lot of my father's personality, in the sense of how loud and I have a presence. My father has a presence. And the second thing, I have a very significant inclination towards academics and language and poetry. And this, I believe, happened because my mother is a Sanskrit PhD. तो जब हम बहुत छोटे होते थे घर पे तो मतलब जटाटवी गलत जल प्रवाह पावित स्थले वो रिदम है शिव तांडव स्तोत्र में ना. तो व्हेन मम्मा वुड सिंग तो वी वुड ऑल गो लाइक टमट 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 टमट. तब समझ में तो कुछ आता नहीं था बट रिदम इतनी ज्यादा थी. अब मैं वो बोल सकती हूँ कि जटाटवी गलत जल प्रवाह पावित स्थले गले लंबे लंबे काम भुजंग तुंग मालिका. ठीक है. तो द एफिनिटी टुवर्ड्स पोएट्री एंड टुवर्ड्स साउंड्स and towards language, I believe was built in a very powerful way by my mother. क्योंकि हम क्या गाने गा रहे हैं घर पे. हम शुभम करोति कल्याणम आरोग्य सुख संपदाम शत्रुबुद्धि विनाशाय दीपज्योति नमस्तुते. So what my parents as personas were, वो सारा मिलजुल के मेरे अंदर आया है. And I will repeat, I have only very happy memories. डांट सबको पड़ती है बचपन में और मुझे अभी बड़ा होकर समझ में आता है कि वो डांट वाट पढ़ना कितना ज़रूरी होता है. बिकॉज द वे दैट हैज बिल्ट माई कैरेक्टर, द थिंग्स दैट आई हैव बीन fearful of, has built my sense towards things that I'm doing wrong. Things that I'm not fearful of has built my sense towards challenging accepted notions. Right?
Yeah.
So all in all, I have a very grateful attitude towards the life, especially the childhood that I have lived.
Okay, beautiful. And you're brimming with all the conversation, all the memories that you were, I think you must be getting some flashbacks of your childhood while we were talking.
Actually, no. It's very funny the way I think I built myself. I believe a lot of sadness and conflict and stress lies when we are trying to live life either in the past or in the future.
Right.
कि मेरे साथ और क्या हो सकता था, मेरे साथ और क्या हो सकता है. मेरे साथ इस मोमेंट में कुंदन के साथ ही बड़ी सुंदर बातचीत हो रही है और मैं इसको लेके इतनी खुश हूँ कि मैं और किसी टाइम जोन में एग्जिस्ट नहीं करना चाहती. दिस इज़ नॉट माई टाइम फॉर दैट. बट हाँ, अगर आप मुझसे पूछोगे, अगर आप मुझे फोर्स करोगे कि कौन सी मेमोरी, कौन सा मोमेंट, तो मेरे शायद सबसे स्ट्रॉन्ग मेमोरीज ऑफ चाइल्डहुड आर जब घर पे लाइट चली जाती थी. आई एम अ मे बॉर्न चाइल्ड, आई एम अ मे बेबी. और गर्मियों की छुट्टियों में बचपन में खूब लाइट जाती थी. तो अब बच्चे क्या करते थे, बच्चों के पास ना फ़ोन होता था ना कुछ होता था, तो हम अंताक्षरी खेलते थे और इतने पुराने गाने. अच्छा, उन चीज़ों का फ़ायदा ये होता था कि अगर तुम नाना के घर हो तो नाना भी आके दो गाने, उनको बड़ा अच्छा लगता था. वो हरी थी मन भरी थी लाफ होती जड़ी थी, बाबा जी के बाद में दुशाला ओढ़े खड़ी थी, वो जो क्या. तो हम फिर उनके पीछे पीछे डोल रहे हैं. तो मुझे लाइट जाना बहुत पसंद था क्योंकि हमारे इंडिविजुअल वर्ड्स कोलैप्स हो जाते थे उस टाइप पर, सब साथ में आ जाते थे. थोड़े बड़े हुए तो एटलिस खेलना शुरू किया, थोड़े और बड़े हुए तो मम्मा ने छुट्टियों में लाके डेरेक ओब्रायन की क्विज बुक्स दी. तो उससे नॉलेज की तरफ जो लालसा होती है ना कि सारे क्विज आंसर्स मैं दूंगी, यू आर वेरी कम्पिटिटिव अगेंस्ट योर कजिन्स, राइट. तो मम्मी लेके बैठ जाती थी वो एक किताब और कौन बनेगा करोड़पति हमारे घर में चलता था. यहाँ एक कुंदन बैठा है, एक सौम्या बैठी है और सवाल पूछे जा रहे हैं और सौम्या को यही मुझे तो जीतना है. तो मैं उतना पढ़ने लगी थी, उतना मुझे एवरीथिंग गेट्स. इंडिया इज ए कंट्री कुंदन एंड वी आर लूजिंग इट इन लिटिल बिट नाउ. We're a very community-centered country, right? And that community is important. चाहे वो community आपके पड़ोसी हो, चाहे वो community आपकी immediate family, तो क्या community नहीं बोलोगे. लेकिन जब छुट्टियों में cousins आ रहे हैं या जैसे मेरा क्या बोले father's house was in जींद, तो जब तुम जींद जा रहे हो तो सारे मतलब your parents के जितने siblings हैं वो आ रहे हैं, उनके बच्चे आ रहे हैं, 20 लोग के घर में पल रहे हैं और किसी को नहीं पता बच्चे कहाँ हैं. बच्चे चीटे पकड़ते हैं बाहर जाके, उनके पास कोई गेम नहीं खेलने को, है ना. तो बारिश में चीते पकड़ रहे हैं बच्चे। आज क्या कर रहे हैं? अरे आज वो आटे के उसमें ड्रम होता था बड़ा सा, आज उसमें घुस गई सौम्या। तो मतलब क्या कर रहे हैं? आम आए हैं घर में, तो बच्चों में बैठे हैं। ये मम्मी बताती हैं, खैर मेरी जनरेशन का नहीं है, कि बच्चों में बैठे हैं आम, तो अब बच्चों को आम छुपाने हैं। वो बच्चे छुपा के भूल गए, गिलहरियों जैसे हरकतें। तो कहाँ से मिल रहे हैं आम? बेड के पीछे से, में टॉयलेट का फ्लश ऊपर वाला होता था, फ्लश के ऊपर से। अब वो खाने लायक नहीं बचे थे, बस सड़ने की स्मेल आ रही है इससे। तो बच्चों को कलेक्टिवली डांटे पड़ रही हैं, वो डांटे सुन भी रही है, बाद में जाके ही भी कर रहे हैं। I think we built very rounded personalities because of having access to so much of human touch.
Yes.
अब मैं बिल्कुल, अगर तुम मुझसे बोलोगे मुझे डांट कहाँ पे पड़ी या मेरे साथ कुछ गलत हुआ कभी, मैं ज़रूर उन मेमोरीज तक जा सकती हूँ, बट मुझे लगता है कि given a choice, I wouldn't have my life any other way. बहुत अच्छे टाइम में मिल बढ़ गई।
That's a brilliant answer. In fact, you're so right. I think it was my biasness also because, for audience, what I do is for all the guests, what I do is I request them to fill up a form which has like a list of questions, right? And in the second season, which was about the different one, I had my biases where the difficult childhood creates like a functional adult, which is like a hero's journey, right? You have your abyss moment and suddenly you decided that I'll be, and all the movies also showcase that all the heroes are born out of misery and all. But in fact, it's absolutely opposite. More than 65% people have said that they have a better childhood, okay? And which clearly, and I'm happy about that. And now it makes much more important why it should be focused on a childhood conditioning, that it should be good.
So I have, just an observation about this. So I think ever since a lot of narratives around psychology came in, right? There has been a very trauma-centered discourse.
Yes.
जो हमारे heroes journey में और मूवीज में reinforce किया है कि आपके साथ आपके सबसे डार्केस्ट मोमेंट क्या था, तब आप बन के निकले। मेरे पास ट्रॉमा ही नहीं। I genuinely don't suffer. Of course there have been bad moments. So bad that probably a few of them मैं कभी public में नहीं बोलना चाहूँगी.
Sure.
Right? Because they are mine. But are they defining the person that's sitting in front of you? No. Right? So our world has also become very centered on over-investigating what is wrong with you.
Yeah.
I was at a festival 2 days ago, Kundan, and I was genuinely happy talking to people, this, that, whatever, right? And at the end of that festival, one person had to walk up to me and say, ये सब सौम्या जी आपका डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म है, अंदर से आपको कुछ और आप थक चुके हो सबसे। And I'm like, मुझे तो नहीं लगता, आपको लगता है, तो maybe this knowledge will help you. But even that access to that knowledge doesn't help me. I am a genuinely happy adult. Does this mean that I don't undergo phases of darkness? Does it mean that I don't get sad? You have seen me cry more than anyone else, right?
Yeah.
But that's my form, that's my mode. कि अगर ऐसा थोड़ी है जितना बुरा भी होना था वो बचपन में होके बीत गया, बुरा तो अभी तक चल रहा है। जीवन में वो साइकिल, वो जो वेव है, वो तो आती जाती रहती है। But that's what I do. I find a Kundan in my life at that point of time and I walk up and I'm like, सुनो, मुझे रोना है। Can you give me a safe space for me to cry? और अब मेरी वो safe space पूरी दुनिया है, मैं कहीं भी रो सकती हूँ।
Absolutely.
सभी रो सकती।
Right. I think we all have such memories, and then where we focus, it's such a beautiful point you have made. I think then, in short, what you are saying is it's a choice.
In short, what I'm saying is, can you be your own person?
Absolutely.
The narrative around you will always force you towards a template.
And I so much emphasize on self-talk, as in the self-talk that we do to ourselves, what kind of stories we are telling back and what stories we are going back and bringing it back. I think that is where also you're saying we can choose to be, what person we want to be.
So in fact, I really want to make this point that एक form है ना जो कुंदन ने शुरुआत में बोला, जो हम सबसे भरवाते हैं, तो उसमें एक line आई that how would you like to be introduced something.
Introduced, yeah.
And I just said that as someone who just constantly reimagines herself every day.
Yeah.
So what happens, Kundan, is there are phases in life, right? Phases in life as in, for once you're convinced that you're trying to achieve an idea of the personality that you have, right? And I struggle very hard to reach that personality who is wide, vibrant, open, joyous. Yeah. But then there also came a point where I was like, if I try to stick to this personality, then I'm falling in another trap.
True.
So can I reimagine?
Yeah.
Can I wake up every morning and choose happiness? Can I wake up on some mornings and choose to be tired?
Yeah.
That today I am tired. And no one will acknowledge it as much as I will, right? So I've not really been in corporate jobs so much, but I had one corporate job. And God bless my boss, because he gave me the liberty to take an off on the day I didn't feel like coming to work. Because he understood that Saumya might feel like working on the day she is ill. So long as she doesn't have a contagious and infectious disease, she will be better off in the office. So some days she will want to work when she's not well. But some days when she's absolutely well, she just doesn't want to work.
Right.
So you make her sit in the office, sure. वो कुछ नहीं करेगी, she will do nothing. So what's the point, right? So yes, to answer your question again, the narrative around in our time is around trauma, is around stress, is around depression, which are extremely real things. And I can't even imagine the plight of people who suffer from it.
Yeah.
Who are medically diagnosed, who are living things that you and I can't imagine.
Absolutely.
That we didn't have vocabulary for while growing up.
Yeah.
And I can say this because I've also been through depressive things.
Right.
And I've had to take serious help to bring myself out. And I had that community that helped me, right?
Okay.
So I didn't have to go to therapy. I had that community which saw that, oh, she's not as bright as she usually is. Saumya, are you all right? Would you like to talk to us today? Okay, you wouldn't like to. Would you like to rest? Would you like to talk to us any day? Saumya, any day you want to talk? We're sure. Right? So I had that community. I had that system around me. But coming back to the point, because the narrative has become so dark that all of us are existing in dark times and so much is bad in the world and blah, blah, blah. This, that. Someone will need to stand up and say that I'll break this.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sorry, I'm going to get very philosophical, here, that when I extract myself from this system, so many people walk up to me, there's this Indian song which is, "Tum itna jo muskura rahe ho, kya gam hai jisko chupa rahe ho." I have gum. Everyone has pain, everyone has suffering. But I'm not living my suffering in every wakeful moment. I am not. You can see it in my body language, right now. So it is so critical to become your own light. So back, in UP where I come from, there is this beautiful song which one of my friends taught me. Would you mind if I sing one line?
Oh, please go ahead. Yeah.
This is a folkish song. I don't know whose song it is, but it goes like, मैं हूँ माटी का दिया, काली रात का पिया, जल दिया तो अंधेरा बोला, जल दिया, मैं हूँ माटी का दिया. But the core philosophy of this song is, all of us can't become the sun.
Right.
But all of us can become lamps. And a lamp is more powerful than the sun. Because the sun can only illuminate a certain part of the world, right? Which it has access to one half of the world at points of time. But a lamp or a diya or an earthen lamp, when it's lit, its only promise says कि वो अपने आसपास अंधेरा नहीं होने देगा. It will never allow darkness to befall its own surroundings, whether it's night, whether it's day, whether it's whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we're just trying to be those lamps who are constantly flickering. And
That's so beautiful. And to my audience, now do you see why these stories become so beautiful? As maybe you might be knowing Saumya, or maybe you are going through this story for the first time. But the kind of beauty we all live and the kind of stories that we all bring can be inspirational and you can relate to her so much. So Saumya, thank you so much. And now people know that you sing. Now people know that you have such a deep philosophical senses. So guys, we are continued with our introduction as well. So now we'll step on to the next level as your teenage, right? When you said something that, you were always kind of tomboyish girl, right? How was the girls in your sphere? How were you treated? And again, I'm not looking for a dark, as in for me, it's an answer. It's a positive, it's a negative. It's just I want to know because I cannot live your story. But it would be good to know the girl side because you are for sure. Then you must be different than the rest of the crowd. See, how was you treated? Like, was there any particular thing that stood out for you or?
Sure. So. See, teenage years, Kundan, I genuinely believe, are difficult for everyone.
Yes.
Right? And this is, in my experiences, without exception, because even if you have very supportive parents and very supportive family community, your peer community in terms of your school, in terms of the kind of kids that you play with, in your housing societies and everywhere, you are met with all kinds of people. It is also necessary, but it creates its own kind of experiences. So, without going into much depth, I'm happy to actually share this, that puberty was not an easy time for me, right? And there are puberty growth complications with most of us, not we're not all growing up into the same kind of biological template, right?
True.
And I had one extra problem, which I would not like to share, but which made pubertal growth slight bit of a complex time for me.
Okay.
All right. Which also means that I was growing up into a girl who was not very beautiful.
Okay.
All right. During my teenage years, I've seen my pictures also. I look horrible. I look ugly. I look much more beautiful now. But I'm not value judging it.
Right.
I'm looking at myself very objectively. On the contrary, you know, grade 9, grade 8 onwards, girls around you, they start becoming a personality. They start developing their individual traits. They look beautiful. They're also investing into this beauty.
Yeah.
I was also going to this South Delhi school. And I was the most brilliant child of my school.
All right.
But I was constantly called out for the fact that my hair wasn't tied properly, or why did I not condition my hair, and why was my short always properly tucked in, because the style and the fashion was shorter skirts, and my mother never would allow me to wear all of that,
Right.
leave alone anything. And then you constantly had these crushes and boys and male gaze, and you wanted to be flashy in their eyes. I didn't want to be any of that. I think this was the time. I must have gone through a conflict. Must have.
Yeah.
Right? Because of which I became a workaholic back in my school students' days. Now, I was a debater. I was a dancer. I was a singer. You've all seen the demo. And I was good at academics. Not exceptional, but good enough to be in the top list. I was a theatre person. I would recite very well. I was the definition of an all-rounder minus sports.
Okay.
Sports I couldn't do. Again, with puberty growth, you put on this puppy fat, your body is undergoing changes which makes your physical health not always very good. And unfortunately, back in our times, and maybe this continues still today, physical health was not an integral part of the school curriculum.
Yes.
Sports period was supposed to be a
Fun period.
fun period and substitute period.
True.
Whichever teacher was not able to finish their syllabus, so games period would go to them. And there was no curriculum. You have to also understand that, sure, we were running around during the sports period or we were playing certain kinds of game. But was there any informed dialogue happening on, okay, what are your dietary habits? What does it require to be physically fit? Does physical fitness only mean how fast are you able to run? Or does it also mean flexibility, stamina, right? Zero conversations around this.
Correct.
So I grew up thinking that's not important only. What is important is brain.
Yeah.
What is important is, are you good at math? Are you able to talk nicely on the stage? So all of that I was doing. And I was really good at all of that. And I did that because friends, peers, social circles, I did not understand.
Okay.
I was different because of the way my body was growing
Yeah.
up. And the second fallout of that was because I was so good at everything, I didn't have any friends.
Yeah. Okay.
I just did not have. I had a couple of very beautiful friendships, but I could never belong to a cohort.
Right.
Because I would just hear conversations about me around, very simplistically put, that, oh, she's the teacher's pet, all the teachers love her. And I did have a couple of lovely female friends who would fight through and say that you don't understand how good Saumya is. But Saumya is this 15-year-old, 14-year-old child who's not able to understand the complexities
Sure.
around what am I doing wrong? Either I'm winning awards. Shouldn't I have more friends? But you see, human psychology, the way it manifests even in a children's world, in a children's playground, right? And I think that's what it took. But since you are really talking about what were the defining moments of my life, one during my school was that, and it took me a lot of time to get over it, okay? So there was this teacher who thought that I was very arrogant. Now, I'm a person who was winning 50 awards in a year. Some bit will go to my head.
Okay.
I am a teacher now. I understand when my students are exhibiting those symptoms. And what do you do at that point of time? You have to gently break this entire situation from consuming your student. My teacher, I don't even know whether she was right or wrong, all right? But some complaint she made to the principal against me in my last year in grade 12th. And I was riding the very high wave. I think I'd gotten some major award. I was the Times of India Student of the Year award or something, and I won some major award.
Okay.
I'm just riding this wave. Sunday I come to the school and I'm called into the principal's office. And who tells me that a certain teacher has complained against you, and she says you're very arrogant and this and that. And I didn't understand. How do you make a child understand that the child is arrogant? That teacher, and I searched for that teacher. That, ma'am, what did I do wrong? I'm really sorry. She made me kneel in front of her. She made me sit down in front of her, touch her feet. No one knows about this. This is perhaps the first place I'm saying it. But because now I'm over it. I was not over it for a very long period of time. And when I was sitting down in front of her, at her feet, she said something to the extent of, Saumya, you're a very bad person. You're a very bad human being. You will go nowhere in life. Of course, I laugh about it today because I've gone places in life. But that took away for about a month or two all joy out of my entire system. All joy. And this one teacher went to every teacher in the school because I was the favorite of most teachers, right? Every teacher in school to say that, oh, you're Saumya, you know what she did, and I complained to the principal and blah, blah, blah. The good that came out of it was every other teacher came to me to, hug me, to, pat my head and say, we know you. We have nurtured you. We have created you. Right. If you've done something bad, it's our fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah. Before I move ahead, it's just like, what I was imagining in my head is that you were very rightly say that how could you make a child understand that, this is what arrogant means or not. Yeah. I thought maybe your defense mechanism will trigger and you'll say, no, I'm not arrogantly. And it will solidify, but it was very nice of you to go and ask the teacher. Yeah. And I think that's really... it's a failure of the teacher.
Yes, it's a failure of the teacher. Because she had an opportunity to genuinely change my life.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I internalized all that.
Sure.
Oh, I'm a bad person. I used to go to bed and wake up thinking that Saumya, I used to think you're good.
Right.
You're so nice. You're doing everything so well, but you're a bad person. You're a bad person. Affected my boards. Affected my last year in school, affected my relationships.
Yeah.
Because 2 months I was nowhere. Till my junior school headmistress saw me lurking in the corridor outside the principal's office, and she knew how much I loved the principal. So she picked me up and she's like, Saumya, I've heard that this is big. It was a huge news in the school, okay? So she looked at me and she's like, because of no teacher should you be lying here like this. Yeah. Come with me. She picked me up, she took me to the principal's office. And then the principal told me that, Saumya, look, it's not that I don't understand. I understand. Going forward, you have nothing to be sad about. You're my head girl. You're my student.
Right.
I've not seen a better one. One day, Kundan, one dialogue of affirmation. Absolutely. One sharing of joy, one word of confidence. It changed me. And the other thing that kept me going was, because this darkness came back sometime later in life. We won't go into the details of that. But every day, because I had fought one dark period, only one dark period till then. When the second dark period came, every day I would wake up and tell myself, are you feeling like it today? No. Okay, this will pass.
Yeah.
This will pass. Every day, till one day passed.
Yeah.
So yes, back to you. This is a little bit of
and I'll go back to our audience about this, is that, why I try to make a life of humility and love, and all the reason is that it's many a times it hurts me also because people many a times take you for granted. And trust me, the kind of humankind is that if they are fearful about you, it's very easy for people to take you for granted. And these things are real. But still, imagine that one incident can many a times define the whole life for a person. I'm happy that Saumya came out of it. She is a functional adult. She could talk to herself and, she could improvise. But I have seen people who get trapped in that loop. It may be for the good reason. It may be for the bad. And in fact, like the principal, when she came and said those things, it's good that it got nullified. But there are lives that I've seen getting destroyed because of one incident.
I was thinking exactly the same, that we are very lucky that we came out of it.
True.
Both of us, in fact, right? With whatever our life experiences were. And we have been able to see everything in a positive life. Like, I'm very sure of the fact that even this incident, I don't want eliminated from my life.
True.
Because it contributed something.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which so many are not used to.
So in my slam book, I always write, whenever people ask what's your best friend, I always write my bad days. Because somehow I have kind of nurtured a lot from there. All right. Yeah. So with that, I think the first half of the episode was all about the human in you, right? And I have always got the complaint working as a business leader is that people always come to me and talk to me, Kundan, a manager is also human. A business person is also human. Like people treats them as a human.
Yes.
So in my podcast, I made sure that I first want to understand the human side of it, right? And it's always the most beautiful. It's always the distinctively, I'm going to say, the human side of the people. It comes so brilliant that the small incident, even if a lot of things are common, we turned out to be a very different and a very beautiful human out there. Okay. So with that, now we'll move on to the second phase of it, which this whole season is about the women leadership and the women who are doing outstanding. And when I say that, I really want to clarify, because the one thing I face in my conversation is that when you talk about one polarity, people jump onto the other. Yeah. So when I say people who are doing, as in women doing great, it doesn't mean there are women who are not doing great. I simply mean that, you have made something out of your life and we want to hear your story.
Sure. Okay. Before you ask me a question, these polarities are built out of a militant need to establish some kind of a unitarian paradigm, which is counterproductive at any point of time. And then I may be a woman who knows her vocabulary, who knows everything correctly. But I have noticed my lacunas, my misgivings and my lacks when I try to access the upcoming vocabulary around queer people, around the LGBTQIA plus concerns. And more than ever, I believe that let's have a conversation without the fear of the fact that we'll say something wrong.
Right.
Because there is no wrong. There is no wrong as long as there's no malice. And there is no intention that is corrupt. And I know yours is not.
Thank you.
So you say whatever you want to say, I'll stand by you.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that the audience are aligned as well.
Hamari podcast.
Good one. All right. So now coming to that, lot of nowadays, there is a lot of kind of media coverage is there around women leaders. And I think I know a lot of women who are doing absolutely fantastic. For me, why this becomes a very emotional and real thing is that since my childhood, I've been more connected to women.
Yes.
Okay. Starting with my mom and my sister, because somehow my dad used to, slap me. And then the easy and safe place was to run to the kitchen.
Yes.
And I started, cutting vegetables, and somehow I get to listen to their stories more. So that has kind of nurtured my feminine side. And I'm so proud today about that, is that as a leader, I can take care of each and every member in my company.
Yes.
I make sure that I come with a lot of compassion. I come up with so many things which I think is a superpower women already have. So now coming to this episode, I want to understand your experiences and the kind of learnings you have as a women leader and all the diverse areas that you have been touching upon. What can have been your learning which could be helpful for like a lot of the rest of the upcoming leaders here?
How many days do you have for me to answer that question? But I will again try to summarize all of this. Look, Kundan, I grew up not even acknowledging myself as a woman.
Okay.
All right. So I was never looking at myself as a woman who's doing so good and this and that. I was a very normalized presence. My only experiences of womanhood came from home, as in I had a curfew time to go back home, or I was restricted from talking to boys, which made it the forbidden territory. So I wanted to talk to more boys. What are these alien species that I can't talk to? So, but when I did enter the public sphere, and when I say public sphere, I mean starting with school events, then going to college festivals, and then going into the professional, semi-professional and organized space. I did not really acknowledge myself as a woman as much as a cohort, as much as a part of a cohort that everyone was existing in. Till the time, a few instances happened where you were like, oh, I'm a woman, and then I need to address myself accordingly. So, like I've already told you, it took me a long time to embrace my feminine side, all right, which now I do with a lot more confidence. Because we grew up thinking power dressing is all about wearing those nice coats and pants and, just being uncomfortable, terribly uncomfortable. Like I'm wearing today, it's a lovely friend. So when I'm calling for things like this, I also now think about how can I carry my women allies along with me. And this has been gifted to me by this beautiful person named Deepika. And it's a nice sari, which is a pre-made sari, which is also a lungi, right? I mean, it's nice. Because Deepika understands that Saumya doesn't know how to tie a sari, but she loves to wear saris. Okay. So how can I make it simpler for her? So this is like a pre-pleated sari or whatever you can give the nomenclature to it too. But it took me a while to embrace the fact that I can wear saris and I can wear these big jhumkas and I look nice and I look pretty, and I define that for myself. So this was number one, coming in touch with my feminine side, and which is when I started acknowledging myself as a woman leader. And that also happened because, some days when I was in a certain corporate job, I was called out for being a woman. that Saumya, you will not be able to answer this perfectly for me. You shut up, because not shut up. Okay, he didn't say shut up, but he was like, you're too emotional in your thinking, and you're too close to the people for whom we are making this plan.
Right.
I was like, but that's a blessing, right?
Yeah.
That I'm closer to people for who this plan has to be implemented.
Correct.
No. Stop thinking like yourself. And I'm like, and I'm just playful in my head.
Okay.
Even if I feel bad, I'll cry at home. But in front of you, I'll be like, but that's why you hired me. To think like myself. Right? Because my thinking is what Saumya is. Then seeing a couple of very senior women leaders be asked in a board meeting or in a client meeting that, ma'am, can you please ask for tea and coffee? And that one particular ma'am, she would reply saying that, darling, the phone is closer to you. Can you please order the tea and coffee?
Yeah.
It's the same.
Correct.
But just because you're a woman, the caregiving role or the hospitality role is sort of ascribed to you. And then how systematic is this patriarchal intervention that women are kept away from women? In the sense that women are always competing against women, and it happens because of certain economic conditions, because of certain economic biases, and it starts from home, like how the mother-in-law would never make friends with the daughter-in-law because their social sanction and their economic status is dependent upon the man, the husband or the son, right? But that's not the case really anymore, right?
Right.
But I think it has been through a social mimesis, it's been ingrained in us that women are your enemies.
Sure.
All right. Breaking that paradigm was the biggest learning of my life. That I will give women more benefit of doubt than any man. All right. And that's when I discovered female friendships. And Kundan, I kid you not, the way women have helped me grow. That, Saumya, of course she does this very well. You have to work with her. And I'll get a call, Saumya, I pitched you like this and this has to happen and go, do your thing. And then I'm like, okay, thank you so much. No, you don't have to be thankful. You deserve this more than... So,
That's
it
really
also
good.
happens with men, right? But then it becomes a transaction also. It does become a give and take, that I've done you one favor. You know that you have to return this favor someday. None of my women I have returned favors to.
Okay.
I have done good deeds for them without thinking that they have done good to me, right? So the second thing was having an enabling cohort. The first was embracing my femininity, which is when I understood and identified as a woman leader or a woman public persona.
Yeah,
Let
right.
me just put it like that. Number two was finding enabling friendships amongst women, amongst happy, successful, healthy and empathetic women. All of these factors are very, very, very important. You have no idea the amount of health concerns women suffer from. Right in front of you, all right, because they already have this monthly thing that's happening with them. Now, how many of you can guess what we are really going through at a physical level? And then the third thing that happened was, once I embraced my identity, then my community, is when I was fully able to access and embrace myself and tell myself that, okay, you can wake up and do anything.
Okay.
And Saumya, you are a public person. So you will always exist in public spaces which are primarily dominated by men.
Right.
Right. I have been a part of teams Kundan where there'll be 6 men, 1 woman, 12 men, 1 woman, 3 men, 1 woman, and I have held my ground. And this is so rampant. So the fields that I work in are marketing, education, events, and hospitality. Now, education is the only field where I found more women. Comrades, because teachers, right?
True.
Which is also, I believe, a paradigm that we should break someday, that women make for better teachers because they're natural caregivers. No, men should also be caregivers. Just that after a certain age for girl students, men are not the safest place to be in, because of so many reasons, because of, let's not even get there. But aside from education and all these other 3 spheres, they're largely male-dominated. In fact, my experience in education is also the same. Because gender representation is higher only at the execution side, which is the teaching side, but not at the leadership side.
Okay.
Schools are also being run by men only. In so many spaces, in so many phases. So it's really difficult to some days hold your ground and say that I know better.
Right.
I know what I'm talking about. Just do this. And it happened literally yesterday. What I'm about to share with you. That I just did a bunch of successful event space I love. I'm on the stage and we're singing and dancing and doing meaningful conversations just like this. But someone walked up to a very close ally of me to say that, please stay away from Saumya because she's too free. And I know what that person was trying to say. But because this was a woman ally, she would have broken his legs. That he did not use words which were character annihilating for me. But he said that she's too free. Now, I don't understand, Kundan. If I'm too free, that's the nicest thing to be. Another man, I think, walked up to me and said that, Saumya, you're so emotional, you're so intense, you do great work. I know your emotions also add to your work, but sometimes you're just too much. And I remember looking back into his eyes and saying that, please find someone who is too less. Because clearly, getting more is not working well for you. Right. But I have that sass now. When I was growing up, it was difficult, and we are constantly fighting our own battles, just that those battles are not the center of my life. Joy, peace, and freedom are the centers of my life, whether it's work, whether it's relationships, whether it is experiences, anything and everything.
So, that's absolutely now, I think I'm going to make it a little uncomfortable.
Sure.
Okay. And the reason it's a learning for me as well.
Sure.
Now, coming to this space, I really want to be very sensitive. Okay. Because I know I've not lived your life, and mostly women's life, even how much you can admire, you got to be very mindful that you are not living that persona. And I, as a man, because I cannot, deny that identity that I have, right? I believe into it that in today's world, I know that there has a lot been challenges. In today's world, I see that the equality of opportunity is very much out there. Okay. And I'm not talking about the outcome, right? I'm just talking about the equality of opportunity. Now, many a times I believe that what I see in the media, or maybe it's a media hype, or I'm the wrong consumer, is that many a times male has been put onto the spot that most of the failure or the gap, everything is put on male, that because of male, women are not able to do so good. What do you think about it? Is it like, have you experienced something like that, or what's your thought around it?
So I'll answer this in two parts. Number one, I don't think there is equality of opportunity.
Okay.
Right? And why I say that is, I don't have data to take either of the stands.
Okay.
All right. That whether equality of opportunity in a gender diverse sense, I'm not even talking about the male-female binary anymore.
No, in fact,
I'm talking about
true.
The entire spectrum. Now, is there equality of opportunity? Do I have data to back it up? No.
Okay.
Right. But do I have experiences to back it up? Yes. I have left a lot of jobs, a lot of situations. The equality of opportunities, of course, you equate with the fact that can women do everything that they want to? No, of course they can't.
Right.
Of course they can't. It is highly still a male-driven, male-guided world. And so where I'm able to thrive is also in systems that are built by me or built by females. So I run this entire homestay, this entire resort in Himachal, which is built by women. So I thrive around the feminine energy now. And by the way, my closest allies and my closest friends are also, I dote on men, right? So I do not belong to the militant feminist side or way, because I am a very loving, inclusive person in my heart, right?
Absolutely.
So I love it when people come to me with problematic notions, because who else do I give my love to? People who are nice.
Right.
No, I need to give all this love to people who are investigating or who are saying wrong things, because that's when you can sort of create a transformation or affect a change. But the system or the ecosystem around us is not sensitive to women. Now think of women reporters, right? Who are, elections are going on and women reporters would be out of the ground and really covering news. Where do you think they go to pee or to change their pads? Where do men relieve themselves? Everywhere. Now when you talk of opportunity, there has to be an entire enabling system around them. I have had to leave, I'm just thinking how many, about 3 teams. One where my emotional quotient as a woman was a deterrent to the team. So I said, okay, I'll leave. I don't want to. But 2 where I was close to being molested. And I don't want to be molested. And I don't want to create that opportunity.
Right.
So I called out these people and left. Right. How many men do you know who've had to leave thriving systems? Systems that built, by the way, right? These were systems I helped to build. And I just left with a lot of calm detachment. That it's so. Systems that cannot respect women or humans, just by the way, are not systems where I want to exist. And which is why now I'm famous as an in and out consultant. Okay. Now everyone knows Saumya will not stick. She will come, do her dancing and prancing around and do her things. and she will get out. So when you mean equality of opportunity in the sense that at a plastic level, everyone is saying, yes, we need more women leaders, or yes, we have this ratio of women employees in our company, and we may be having fair representation. How many offices do you know which have like an inclusive toilet? Right. These are the things I like to talk about.
Right. No, you're very right. And that was more of an open question because when I was coming from it, it was more from education. It was more from, the eligibility. It was more from, that, okay, you have, nobody's stopping that this money only women should be. I do not, I was more coming from the eligibility of people standing for the job. But yes, these are day-to-day things which I can never experience. And then I need your head.
Eligibility then becomes absolutely plastic, right?
Okay.
And we are talking of eligibility. I know you come from, your background is a rural background,
Yes.
if I'm not wrong. So I know that now I live in a rural space. All right. I'm this completely city person who's gone and built a home in a little village in Himachal Pradesh. And what are you talking about eligibility when women are still being beaten in their houses and who are physically not capable of applying to a job? Now, I understand where you're coming from. I understand the plastic around it and the packaging around it looks nice. I know so many women leaders, like off the top of my head, I think one of the most inspiring people in my life is the CEO of Vani Prakash and Aditi Maheshwari Goyal, who I see doing so many innovative things and being happy about it, and I think now also getting the due acclaim that comes with doing a job like hers, which is a male bastion, because Hindi publishing especially was a male bastion. But you understand, Kundan, how many spaces are still male bastions?
Yeah.
Right? So many jobs, so many traditional occupations are still male bastions. I know of this other person whose name is Anamika, and she's doing, she's a tea sommelier, and she works with the Maji Valley Tea Estate back in Dharamshala, back in now where I live. And she also entered full guns blazing into this situation where only men were working in tea estates, women were only collecting, but who were the decision makers, who were the people at the forefront of the trade.
Yeah.
So wherever trades have been there, men have been at the forefront. So every time we are entering a space, unless we are creating that space, we are entering a space that has been predetermined to male ethos.
Correct.
I have accessed opportunity by breaking a lot of glass ceilings. And it's not, I think I love my parents to death, but they don't understand half of the things that I'm doing. So the first thing is resistance. That we don't understand what you're doing, so you shouldn't do it.
Right. Okay.
But if a guy says that this is something new that I'm doing, oh, our son, that is still there. Women are brought up to be perfect. Men are brought up to be brave. I heard this is not my line. I think I heard this in some TED talk, that ever since we've been brought up, we've been asked to be the ideal. That everyone should praise you, no one should have anything bad to say about you, and you should be able to do everything. And what about the sons, dude? I mean, come on. And we're still talking in a binary. Imagine that's how colored and corrupted our tongues are, that we still talk in binaries. We are not able to ourselves be inclusive in our vocabulary. And I do not mean to make this a very, very politically active statement.
Sure.
But this is my experience. This is my experience that I have been able to get out and get away. Because if you will ask me to go down on the road and dance, if I feel like it, I will dance.
Yeah.
How many women would?
Right. So is it not then your personality as being a woman, as in you decided and your personality has been shaped that you can go and dance there, right? But is it, I do totally understand that is the structural problem. There are a lot of, and the things are being done, the women's are, and that's why we are bringing such stories that people can come up and say that, hey, if Saumya can do it, I can do it as well, right? But then there are some personality at play also. There is some, if there is, let's say, so just sharing a small example, coming from a small town, there were a lot of resistance that I was handling, okay?
Sure, yes, sir.
Coming from Bihar, there are a lot of tags that we live along with, okay? My dad was absolutely not happy and he was equally protective about saying that, no, if I do not know the job, do not do it, right? You should go for job. So I have experienced those dialogues. I'll not compare the intensity.
Sure.
And but I do resonate so much about the structure, because thank you so much for sharing that. Because being an employer now, I want to be so sensitive about such small things, and it helps in my inclusivity. I think.
And then you are.
Yeah. Okay.
I have seen the way you run your offices, and I've seen the kind of fluid space that you've built around your office. And in your spaces, I've never seen anyone needing protection. In your spaces, I've seen everyone being challenged equally, irrespective of gender. In your spaces, I've seen everyone being given a chance to be a leader, irrespective of gender. But you do understand. So when Undit started his company, he he had almost taken in a bunch of very young lads, guys, whose parents agreed that, okay, yes, 7 of you will stay together, live together, and you will thrive. I can bet my life on it. For a girl, that would not happen possible. You may have tried enough. I'm not saying you wouldn't have tried. And maybe a Saumya would have emerged and said that, no, I will not listen to my parents. I will still do this, right? But no.
And you are absolutely right. And I also want to jump here is because, see, for me, this gender thing is invisible till I am attracted towards someone. Okay. And till then, now, today, whatever women employees we have, like they are doing fabulous. Trust me. That they are much better than, all the
not
guys.
Just women employees. I have to make this point that Kundan does take DEI seriously. DEI is the new corporate buzzword around diversity, equity and inclusion. So without naming any of your employees, I know that you are completely blind to whatever identity someone is carrying. If they are good at their jobs, then they have a place at Trivandrum.
Absolutely. And the reason why, even through the podcast, and I'm so open to learn because I do not want to sound insensitive because, and thanks for all the learning that you have given. I do want to, grow and be inclusive as much as I can. Not from the point that I have to treat women separately, but just as in they should feel safe. They should, if my male employees are feeling safe, my female employees or anybody around me. Now, as you said, for my founders, I took like 6 lads.
Boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, after 7 years also, I keep looking for women entrepreneurs. I'm so open to, they need not to stay with me. Like they can stay, we can do setup based on that. But I do so much want to encourage women because as I said, like my leadership drive comes from my feminine side.
Absolutely.
And I so believe in women that they are the natural leaders if I can nurture them. And if there is something which is missing, and I'm not coming as somebody as a savior, but somebody as an enabler, I think, right? I did it for my rest of the founders and I want to do it with so many other business leaders that I work with. I do, and I sometimes get little disappointed that why women are not coming. Okay, maybe those insecurities which I do not know, and thanks for making me aware. I do want to cross these steps, but I do want to invite onto the camera. Please, if you have any kind of business idea, if you want to do anything, please do try to connect us. And I do a lot of business coaching. I would love that you come on this stage and do a lot of good work because
I would back this up.
Yeah.
In especially in case you're looking at working in creative fields, in case you're looking at pushing your own boundaries. And of course, this podcast is not meant to be an ad, but I do want to say that I know for a fact that if you come out and you challenge Kundan, he will challenge himself even more to say, how can I build a space where everyone can still be welcome?
Absolutely. So thank you so much.
ये अलग से काट के ad बनाना, हाँ?
So we'll now with that, we'll move towards closer. Sure. I think you have made some very strong points. And trust me, most of it I'm taking notes and I'll be reflecting a lot on these things because this is the first episode. By the end of this season, I really want to be that person who actually understands what's going on onto the other side of the world and then, can work towards the women leadership.
Kundan, by the end of this season, why don't you call me back? And allow me to question you. And then let's see, with the diversity of women that you talk to, is there anything that has transformed in you? Anything that's been nudged in you? And so from being the interviewer, become the interviewee.
Yeah.
And I would put all of these questions across to you.
That would be fantastic. That's a deal.
That's a deal. Let's shake hands to that.
Sorry. So with that now, you actually... you answered most of the questions. In fact, you went ahead and you gave us solutions also. And those inclusion was a very small level, those structural changes. Now, just I'm taking back, there was one very strong statement I had written, which you mentioned that you're tomboyish or, you are more like male ki tarah. Bachpan mein jo aapko bola jata tha, right? Bachpan mein bola jata tha. Today, sitting at this point with going all, what do you feel about it? Was it appreciative then, or was it like, how do you feel about it now if somebody tells you that Saumya, tum na ladko ki tarah and you are like as competent as men?
So I tell them that you're setting the bar too low, right? I'm sorry, like we were trying to do this podcast in English, but I often lapse into Hindi. Because this is my phase of embracing everything about myself. Mm-hmm. So, we were brought up in that public school culture where if we spoke in Hindi, even in free periods, we were supposed to put ₹1 fine, Hindi fine, into the class ka gullak, right? And so, that is 5-6 years ago, I rejected that also. कि नहीं हिंदी में बात करूंगी मैं Because when I talk, I know that my body is so animated that everyone understands whatever I'm saying. That language barrier doesn't really work for me. So I made the Hindi point because there was this wonderful lady, I'm forgetting her name, and who once told another friend of mine, and I was just overhearing the conversation, just encouraging her that, Ari suno, you don't have to be like men. आदमियों की तरह नहीं बनना, क्योंकि औरतें तो बहुत आगे भाग चुकी हैं. औरतें तो रेस पूरी करके उसके आगे पहाड़ों पे चढ़ चुकी हैं. और जब उन्होंने पहाड़ों वाली बात बोली, मैंने कहा ये तो सही है. I am of course I'm my own kind of a mountain. Right. So I believe that when I'm told that I'm like men or better than men, I think the bar is too low and the bar is wrong. Right? Because I'm just like Saumya. I'm like this Saumya, this one particular Saumya. But one really nice thing that I want to share with you is that recently I was at a DI conclave, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Summit. And we had some wonderful people. We met there, made some new friends. And this non-binary queer person walked up to me to ask me, Saumya, are you queer? And I was like, I've never been asked that. Thank you. And I felt so nice about it.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, I'm not queer, but I have entered the process of queering in the sense of truly developing a mind which is inclusive, accepting, loving. Accepting is no accepting, but inclusive and loving of everything and capable of listening to any kind of thing without becoming reactionary. So I have started existing in a non-binary paradigm for myself. Yes, I'm a cis woman. Yes, I'm heteronormative. Yes, I'm heterosexual. So I am a proper cis-het woman. I know that about myself. But my brain is completely non-binary. My brain says that what Kundan is saying about opportunities being there is right. Because that's what Kundan has seen.
Right.
And I have no business discounting his evidences of life. And I'm also right.
Right.
Because that's what I have seen.
True.
So I have no business discounting this. And we're still talking binary. So if a queer person sits here and talks about something that they have seen, then they're also right.
They are also right. Okay.
So in our own little bubbles, we're all absolutely right. But sometimes we can prick this hole and wake up from our bubble and look outside and say, oh, the world has a little more than what I know about.
True.
I think that's it.
That is, and to my audience, though we share a long trust and long history of chit-chat, the one thing I really want to tell you guys is that we are not trying to fuel any gender, I want to say, favoritism here. What the most beautiful thing which stood out for me and that I want to share with you is that the personality. If you look, she embraces her personality, and that is much more powerful than I think any of the gender that we are discussing here, right? And that is what we all should work upon. I think I was trying to learn something from her, and and the best part is that it is not going to end with this episode. Like this is just the continuation. This is part one, Bahubali. Okay, right. But I do want to address that you are way more beautiful than most of the girls that I have met. When you said that, I have not met you in teenager, but trust me, since the time I have met you, you have always been the beautiful girl that I have met. I don't know who were those guys. I don't know who were, as in guys or the people. I don't know what the society was. Your dress looked fantastic. You have always been so much, it's always so comforting to be around you.
Thank you.
You know that? And for the people, Saumya,
it's comforting to be around me because I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very strong message that, when you are comfortable in your own skin, I think you create that space. Right?
Yeah, so this is for that person who is telling me, defense mechanism hai aapka, aap ye ho nahi. I'll reach there someday.
Yeah, I think in my executive MBA, there was a very, very good point. People are mostly like mirrors, We usually see ourselves. I think it was that person's insecurity more than, So
I will send this episode to you.
You should. Okay. So, with that, guys, I really enjoyed recording this, Saumya. And there are so many things. I'm pretty sure I'm going to listen to this twice or thrice when I'm working with my editing team. And guys, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This is the start of the season, and there are many more such stories which is going to come up. The one thing before you go, I want to let you know that Saumya has a beautiful space at Beer that she runs an Airbnb. Okay.
Yes.
And there are so many. If you visit her Instagram page, she is Saumya Kulshrestha. Okay. Once we'll put this episode, you'll have the description. You'll have her details. Do visit the page. Do visit the place. You can experience all that what you have been listening. And that place, I had been once, but not to the new place. I still have promised I have to go by February. It's a beautiful place made out of mud. As in, she thinks about sustainability. She thinks about, inclusion. She thinks about every possible damn thing which the big leaders are talking. She's actually doing it.
In a very small way.
Yeah.
And since this episode is focused on women, and since I live in Himachal now, I have these two wonderful ladies who run my house. They are my bosses, okay?
Wow.
They are not my house help. I can't even help them, they are that advanced. And in our very beautiful moments when we do not have guests at the house and when they are completely by themselves and they're working and cleaning the house and cooking, I can hear some songs coming up to my room. So these two ladies, they cook, Reena Bhabhi and Vikla Bhabhi, they cook and clean. And they keep singing these songs. So can I end this episode with a song?
Would love to. And please, after that, as in there is one more announcement. She's just recently adopted Sardi. I do wanted to mention Sardi, and that's where I would let it because I wanted to end this episode on a sweet voice. Then me announcing this later. So please go ahead now. The dice is with you.
Yeah, so Sardi is a kitten who came to our house and she was looking for warmth and we were like, "Arey, warmth to hame mil gayi." So there is a quote by T.S. Eliot who says that winter kept us warm. You need winters in order to feel any kind of warmth, right? And she's brought in so much warmth into my life. And her name is Sartik, like Kundan said, because we found her shivering. And like I said, I'm going to repeat this so that it's easier on the editing table. That because this episode is addressed to women who are women leaders, I see a leader in every person around me. And probably my biggest learnings right now are the two ladies who run my house, who are my bosses, who run my resort. And I can't do half the work that they do. So sometimes when they are completely in their own zone and there are no guests at the house, they are singing and cleaning and cooking, and that lovely voice, Himachali women have this nice sonorous voice. It sounds like voice from the mountains. It wafts up to my room, and one of the songs that I've learnt with them, I'd sing 2 lines of it because I'm from Himachal, and this is songs which keep women together. These are songs of women. Folk songs are of women. So that song was like this. चिट्टी चादर पछाड़ी थल्ले बरामी ढक्कन क्या लेना हो तेरे बंगड़ो रे होए सत टोटे बरामी खिसरी निशानी हो तेरे घर आया के टपरी बनानी बरामी दस तो क्या लेना हो.
Wow. Beautiful. So we'll be ending this episode on such a beautiful and such a sweet sound. Saumya, thank you so much for coming on to this.
Calling me.
And I would, look for getting you again once we end this season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a fantastic story. A lot of beautiful memories. A lot of good things came our way. And all the best for your plans.
Thank you so much. Love being here.
Yes. Coming back to the audience, did you see how much, stories we all possess? And this was one of the most beautiful, there are a lot of new things which came across to me also. Even though we do chit chat, I think, the setup changes and the stories changes. I have so much to go reflect back and learn about, even though I've taken initiative, I would always proudly call out myself, not as an expert, but as a learner. So to everyone out there, please do spread love, do spread these stories. And we'll come back with many such stories which will be motivating, but at the same time we'll keep the human at the heart. Thank you so much for being such a patient listener. And if there is any emotions that has been evoked, or if there is any question, feel free to reach us at hello@unbinarylife.com or onto our Instagram page, or you can reach me on my LinkedIn page by the name of Unbinary Kundan. Till then, have fun, enjoy your life, and stay blessed. Thank you, everyone.